We privatize basically the knowledge of patients. We privatize the sharing of data of patients, while basically there's maybe something that should stay in the public domain. And the second thing, if we look at pharma, we basically fund startup companies to develop new pharmaceutical products, but basically with a capitalistic perspective. So either they develop into scale-up companies or they're being acquired by large groups. And that came to, let's say, two dilemmas which we will present today. One is, how can university hospitals work together better in sharing data on, let's say, relatively rare diseases, so where each hospital has a small number of patients. And the second one is, when it needs personalized medicine, how can that be pooled? And I was with the Hôpitaux de Paris in June, and I said, well, I'm willing to help to set up a kind of cooperative company of several hospitals that basically share their information and also share the development of recipes for individualized, personalized medicine. Just as a warning, as a president, I never, almost never help, let's say, applicants to create a project. But I found here that since the public interest is so high, as a European Commission, we should also help to do this. So this is a relatively unique event. So, and we will do that with a number of experts in the field. Maria Cavazzana is from the Hôpitaux de Paris, especially from the Necker Enfants, Malades, which is a children's hospital, very central in Paris, near Montparnasse, and she's also a professor in hematology. And we have Maria Pia Cicalese, who's a staff researcher and pediatrician from San Raffaele Hospital in Milano. That creates already two players. There are other players. I see Charité on the board, which is also part in the discussion. And basically what we want to test with you is the concept of, let's say, developing a shared platform for personalized medicine. To start with some diseases, but maybe to enlarge that. They are building two projects. One is a project of a network, and one is possibly much later the development of a business plan and a common company. I will ask Maria Pia to present, let's say, the case, the issue, and a possible solution. Then Maria will come, and then we will have a discussion. We want you to be sharp in the feedback to us, because that may help to refine the concept.
Yeah.
Maria Pia.
Okay, good morning everyone. I will bring you through the experience of San Raffaele Teleton Institute for Gene Therapy experience in the field of ATMPs for ultra-rare diseases. So here are my disclosures. So basically, gene therapy of replicating cells and tissues relies on two peculiar strategies, so an ex vivo approach and an in vivo approach. So the principle is exactly the same. So the main purpose is to insert into the target cell DNA a vector containing an LT copy of the gene that we want to correct. And in the ex vivo approach, we do this into a GMP facility. So with the result that the transduced cells will consist in the drug product in itself, while in the in vivo approach we deliver the vector with the LT gene directly into the patient, systemically or locally. And the main vectors used in the ex vivo approach are gamma retroviral and lentiviral vectors, and the clinical settings in which this approach has been proven as successful are primary immune deficiencies, of course, hemoglobinopathies, thrombocytopenias, metabolic neurodegenerative diseases, and skin disorders. While in the in vivo approach, we use adenoviral vector, adeno-associated lentiviral vector in clinical settings that are eye diseases, metabolic and neurodegenerative diseases, neuromuscular, and hemophilias. So ATMPs are transformative and disease-modifying medicines. They are very complex, made with genes, modified viruses, cells, and/or designer DNA-modifying enzymes. And of course, the vaccines do not belong to this category. They are considered as living drugs given in one shot, as a one-shot treatment to meet an unmet medical need for otherwise severe lethal diseases and they are fully personalized if made with patients' own cells. But despite their high clinical and societal value, they are still disruptive procedures because they are very complex, with the high cost of manufacturing and supply chain, and with an high burden on very specialized staff and facilities involved in the process. And of course, we need European policy to safeguard the patient access to this therapy and to safeguard, of course, the European leadership in this field. So just in a few words, this is the identity and the mission of Raffaele Teleton Institute for Gene Therapy. It's a joint venture between Fondazione Teleton, which is the major Italian charity funding research on rare genetic diseases, and Raffaele Hospital, which is a research hospital of excellence. And it has the mission to perform high-level research on gene and cell therapy and to translate basic science into clinical trials with the main focus on genetic diseases. So we have several in-house facilities supporting translational research, and we pioneered several phase 1-2 gene therapy trials. And we also had a lot of strategic alliances with industrial partners and launch of startup biotech companies. So in brief, this is the structure of Raffaele Teleton Institute for Gene Therapy. So we have experimental research units, around 17. We have translational research unit with the process development lab in particular, which produces research-grade vector, just making smoother the technology transfer to GMP facility. We have GLP lab. We have clinical research consisting of pediatric and adult unit. We have clinical trial office with dedicated research nurses and data manager. And in particular, we have a special program called the Just Like Home program, including cultural mediator, psychologists that have the main aim to make smoother the permanence of families in Milan while performing gene therapy. So thanks to this structure, we were able to go from basic research and proof of principle study to preclinical and clinical development to marketing authorization for some drugs, and still we continue to deliver these therapies in line with the post-marketing requirements. So this is in brief the clinical pipeline of Raffaele Teleton Institute for Gene Therapy. As you can see, we have 3 products currently approved on the market for 3 quite devastating diseases. So the first is Strimvelis, approved in 2016 for the treatment of ADA-SCID, one of the most severe combined immune deficiency. We have Libenmeldi and Lenmeldi, approved respectively in EU and US for the treatment of metachromatic leukodystrophy. And we have Oskira now approved for Wiskott-Aldrich syndrome in late December 2025. And we have treated patients with still at an experimental phase with beta thalassemia and MPS 1, with a total of 165 patients treated today by gene therapy at our institution. And this is just to show you the program journey of MLD disease. So this is a lysosomal storage disease giving rise to a devastating neurodeterioration picture in infants. So it took more than 20 years to go from preclinical studies to the marketing authorization. So we started in 2000 with the first studies, and then in 2010 with the clinical trial including 20 patients, and then in 2017 we opened another trial with the cryo product in the view to have a wider distribution of the future gene therapy product. And in the end, when we obtained marketing authorization in 2020 at a European level and in 2024 at a US level. So at the moment, we treated 57 patients with MLD at our institution. And just to show you, these are the data on which the filing at EMA and the US level was based. So our data show the persistence of ARS activity, that is the deficient enzyme, at the supranormal level after gene therapy correction in our patient, and the persistence of ARS activity in cerebrospinal fluid in the range of healthy donor. But importantly, we observed also a severe motor impairment, free survival, in particular in the pre-symptomatic late infantile MLD patients that most benefited from the treatment. So you can see the survival, without severe motor impairment, that is strikingly different in comparison to the blue curve of the natural history patients that deteriorated until death. And this is also true for the pre-symptomatic and early symptomatic, early juvenile cohort, as well as we observed a severe cognitive impairment, free survival in all the three populations. But the story was even longer for ADA-SCID gene therapy. So we started in the early 90s with a preclinical study, then with pilot and pivotal study, and then with an expanded access program once the clinical trial was completed, up to the marketing authorization obtained in Europe in 2016 with the name of Streamvelis. So it's very important for me to stress that the originator of the preclinical studies was SRT-Jet at the beginning, and this product underwent multiple transfers. So in 2010 it was in-licensed to GlaxoSmithKline, that really helped us to get the marketing authorization, and then this company dismissed the product for business reason. So the product went to Orchard Therapeutic, that again dismissed the portfolio of gene therapies for primary immune deficiencies. So the product returned to Fondazione Teleton in 2023. So at the moment the product is only administered at the Raffaele Hospital, as it is a fresh product, and we treated 54 patients updated to a few days ago with ADA-SCID, 26 of whom after marketing authorization. And these were the data on which the filing at EMA level was submitted. So at that time we treated 18 patients, documenting 100% overall survival with persistent immune reconstitution and a dramatic decrease of the rate of infection after treatment. But we understood quite soon that early interaction with the regulators to design the trials and to develop the product to a clinical stage was really crucial to the success, as well as it was important to build the infrastructure, the organization, and to get a regulatory support on this, as well as it's fundamental to get good quality data. And this was since the early phases of the study, and this was confirmed by a GCP inspection. And we also obtained, very importantly, this marketing authorization in a single-arm study. So with the comparison with the main comparator for excellence, that is the allogeneic transplantation, based on the data of the literature. And our long-term data still support the efficacy and safety of this product with the persistent immune reconstitution, as I said, on 54 patients. And we got a real good experience with cross-border coming of patients from all Europe, and also with the patients from extra-European country to date. And we still document a 100% overall survival with an intervention-free survival of 88%, that is even higher for the post-marketing population. And this is again the story of the multiple transfers of Streamvelis from GSK to Orchard, and this led the European Commission in 2023 to approve the transfer of the marketing authorization back to Fondazione Teleton in Italy. That is currently the first charity in the world holding the manufacturing and distribution rights of an approved TMP in line with the not-for-profit model that can be an alternative to industry when there is no other way to provide such important drug to patients who are in need. And another disease for which we benefited from this important EMA pilot for academic and non-profit developers of ATMP is Wiskott-Aldrich syndrome gene therapy that again was abandoned by Orchard Therapeutics, so we could benefit from an enhanced support from the agency that helped us to file in 2025 at the European and US level for marketing authorization. And again, this is the path of Wiskott-Aldrich. As you can see, it's back to Teleton from 2023. We treated to date 36 patients, and importantly, we had in 2018 we started a pivotal phase 1/2 study, including US, in order to get the approval also for in the United States, and we are at the moment providing the drug under the Italian law C48 until the price negotiation will be established and the product will be available as an approved one on the market. And these are the data of the treatment, gene therapy treatment for Wiskott. As you can see, we documented a substantial reduction in the rate of severe infection and in the rate and severity, of bleeding events after gene therapy. Indeed, the severe bleedings disappeared on the entire population, and we documented the safety of this treatment. So which are the Fondazione Teleton's pricing ethos? So first, making a profit is not possible for Fondazione Teleton, and should the supply of this medicine generate a positive margin, this will be reinvested into research, of course, and the Fondazione Teleton is committed to transparency, both in pricing and in incomes, and of course research and development costs are not included in the pricing request. So the main purpose of Fondazione Teleton in this moment is to ensure that patient can access therapies and the health system can afford them, and the production and delivery can be sustained. That, I remember you, are based on real commercial costs at the moment. So we know that there are still critical issues and bottlenecks in ensuring gene therapy for rare diseases with a TMP. First, there are high production costs respectively from the patient number. So even for ultra-rare diseases, there is a criticism in the regulatory asset with the complexity that is in particular true for academia, for hospitals and biotech. There is an inappropriate cost-benefit analysis that is up to national health technology assessment. So the work is to harmonize within Europe this criticism to make this treatment available and sustainable for the community. So what should we do? So first, prioritizing patient, facilitating for instance, the cross-border mobility, work on manufacturing, so make innovations in optimizing process, and trying to get some non-profit vector and cell production. Create networks of expert centers, harmonize for sure the regulation with a transnational recognition of approvals, to get the right health cost analysis with the standardized reimbursement, and maybe spreading reimbursement over years in order to decrease the burden on the annual budget, And in line with this, it was very crucial, the Biotech Act established in 2024-2025, that is a strategic alignment of biotech, industrial and health policy through a series of actions. So the aim is reducing regulatory fragmentation, by facilitating communication between the agency and the national health technology assessment, accelerate clinical development and authorization through fast-track approval, for instance, supporting the transition from academia to industry, so the technology transfer, and strengthen European industrial sovereignty by incentives. For sure, we need now some concrete tools for ATMP. So we have to work on European ATMP manufacturing infrastructure, to value-based reimbursement and payment, innovative models, of course, and to public support for market maintenance and continuity. And an initiative, just a few words, that is very encouraged by Europe at the moment, is the platform program. So this allows a parallel development of ATMP treatment for several diverse genetic diseases with timing and effort saving. So at our institution, it's run a platform program including a lead project with MPS 4A, and then following this, a reduced data package will be produced for MPS 4B and alpha-mannosidosis. And this is just a list of some actions and initiatives supporting academic development of ATMPs. So at national level, at European level, I quoted already the ATMP pilot for academia. And it's worth to mention also the Agora initiative that aims to keep together the very relevant stakeholders to safeguard the ATMP maintenance over time, and a couple of initiative at US level. So with this, I thank all the people from my institution, in particular Professor Aiuti, and all of you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you for a very clear presentation. What struck me first is the time it takes from TRL1 to TRL9. It's a life-changing project.
Yeah. Yeah.
We did a study on our portfolio. It takes between 16 and 29 years. Yeah. To go from TRL1 to TRL9.
So we are in the average.
Yeah, you're in the average. What we also discovered is that a lot of years are lost by applying for the next round of funding.
Yeah.
So it's kind of short. It's close to 16 when it's smooth. It's close to 29 when you have breaks in developing.
Yeah.
What is also important, it's a life-changing approach for you as a researcher, but also, of course also for the kids. But they are very small numbers. So what struck me is how, let's say, your time horizon is very long, but for, let's say, multinationals, their strategies change more often. So basically, they're not committed to the same kind of time horizon. Yeah. That also justifies, let's say, the proposal to have a different model. Yeah. What is important in different model is to multidisciplinary. So therefore, we have another professor following. And also, it's important that you work multidisciplinarity within your hospital because you have a whole range of disciplines. So it's an organizationally, let's say, a complicated thing. That's why, let's say, we want to help you to improve it. I will ask Marina Cavazzana to come from another perspective, but let's say in the same direction, so that we have the basis of looking at what next.
I am very happy to try to put together all the things outlined by Maria Pia and to try to go forward with a new initiative. So, as we have repeated a number of times, hospital innovation doesn't reach all the patients who need it. So we have to do something. ATM facing business reality. So hospital innovation is saving life, saving children from a very severe, life-threatening genetic disease. But ATMP have been a real success and breakthrough, as reported by the group of Milano, but they fail economically to find a model. So ATMP changed the game, and it is a very good option for a very high number of patients without any therapeutical solution. We have a lot of success in hematology, oncohematology, but also eye disease, metabolic disease, and neurodevelopment diseases. So I would like to rapidly, without entering in any details, how much the academic organization around the world, in Europe but also in North America, have spent to provide the patient with this life-saving treatment. So just for severe combined immunodeficiency around the world, we registered 6 ADA SCID trials, 5 for SCID X1, 2 for Artemis severe combined immunodeficiency, and 1 for RAG1. So a lot of billion already spent by the academic organization. The results are very well summarized by Maria Pia, a great friend and collaborator in Europe. Gene therapy for ADA SCID have 100% of survival, 90% of complete cure of disease without any side effect. So this is a breakthrough, and this breakthrough can be obtained for a lot of other diseases. These are 2 trials ongoing in Europe with 2 different trajectories. For this immunodeficiency, the PI is Leiden, Frank Stahl, and Professor Ariane Lancaster, and they have just licensed the result to a spin-off of their academic institution. In our case, this is a trial for another disease, and pay attention already in Europe, the communication between academic institutes work very well. There is no doubling clinical trial for rare disease. So we try to provide the patient with as much as possible new clinical treatment without overlapping the expenses of each hospital. In our case, we try to go on the track initiated by Telethon Foundation in Milan and obtain an hospital exemption in France first and then in Europe, because the results are very amazing. So, but I can have a very long list of many other immunodeficiencies for which there is a global effort in North America and in Europe, with a number of very amazing results for the patient without any severe adverse event. For this type of the technology, pay attention that the IP is now freedom of operation. So it can be taken over by a partnership with industrial biotech. So there is a very narrow bottleneck. We have in face of us more of 500 primary immunodeficiency. For 10 of them, only 10 of them, we have developed ATMP, and only 4 are accessible on the market. So there is something we have joined our forces to increase the number of market access for a lot of this treatment. So why there is still this long way to go, despite 30 years of experience in gene therapy by all the major institutions in Europe. So science moves fast. Academic institutions find very relatively easy to found the phase 1-2, and then they stop. So billion of investment stop after the phase 1 and 2, and access is not available. So this is just a schematic. We have tried to see how many products are in the market. Very few are in France, the blue one, and overall for oncohematology CAR T cells at a very high price. So this is also a slide that gives you exactly the idea. The market is huge. There is not a problem of market. The problem is how we rebuild a new organization between industrial partners and academic developers to bring more therapy to the patient. There is no problem of market, there is a problem of a business model. So to give you an example of the market, just for rare disease, you know the definition, 1 out of 2,000. In the case of rare, 1 out of 50,000 people. So you can think that is not interesting for the industrial partner, but in reality, this disease accounts for 300 million of patients around the world, 25 million in Europe, and more than 3 million in France. So the market does exist. But why the model is broken? Because there is not a very strong collaboration between academic institution and industrial partner. There is still, by regulation, a very complex hospital-based value chain. The industrial partners have a technological uncertainty that they say, we go, we don't go, what's happened after. They can't follow. There is a very poor knowledge about the physiopathology of disease that they can put together to make a platform on the same line that explained by Maria Pia. And there is this very narrow availability of licensing. So we have to be much more smooth on give a license to bring a therapeutic option to the patient. So as already reminded by Maria Pia, there is bottleneck, manufacturing issue, but if there is a European consortium, the cost of plasmid vector production and the good can be decreased. Think about what we do during the COVID epidemic. So the cost of a vaccine for all the members has been reduced by a common fund, and the vaccine was available for everyone. We can make the same for ATMP. So we have to search another cost of a clinical pathway up to the market, and we have to simplify the complexity of the logistical need, but we are very close. So we have to reinvent a business model for this disease. We don't need this very long trajectory already described. We don't need, we know that some approaches are no side effect. We know very well the end point we have to reach to allow a drug product to arrive to the market authorization. We don't need a phase 3. So we have also to reconsider with the real world data how we can, after first phase 1-2 study, go to directly to a fast access. So what is the situation about industrial withdrawal? The list is speaking alone. So I can bring just the example of Bluebird that we help a lot to develop the medication. They arrive into the market in 2021. The price they asked to the European member was 3 million. It was unaffordable for any member state, and they leave the European continent to centralize their work in United States, where again they failed. Very few patients have been treated. So this is not a European bottleneck, it is also a United States bottleneck. Not all the assurance or assurer can pay a so huge cost. We can't, the health system can't refund the RD dependencies, and they can't be so profitable because there is a very huge number of patients that we have to join. So I think we are in a very good moment, a very important moment to reshape everything, because there is a strong European alliance of academic centers. The pipeline of academic institutions are growing, and as a consequence, the cost will decrease and the pathway will be simplified. In this great momentum, the Horizon Europe have published a new call to put in relationship 10 excellent centers for ATMP. There are more in Europe, and we have chosen a very drastic criteria to put the first 8 together in order to push the line towards the simplification of regulatory issues, harmonize our production, put together our pipeline, and at the end to reach many more patients. So a risk worth taking. So we have to have the quality of lives as our focus, and how we can save life, increase the number of eligible patients, build together a pediatric trajectoire, often abounded by the innovation, and there is important innovation around the corner that can decrease the price. So there is a strong European momentum. We have to take it to become a European leadership in ATMP. Our pipeline are growing, and we can take together the risk. With this new initiative, we have had the honor to discuss with Michel Pfeiffer at least 3 times to have a non-profit hospital-based cooperative. That this implies that there is also public investor, philanthropy, private partner, include pharma. Pharma also have to grow with us and change the business model. They are laughing about. So this is what I would like to share with you. I just put some conclusive remark, but we can give more space to questions. And I would like to thank you, all of you, and a special thanks to Michel Pfeiffer for this invitation, Laure Bouquet that built up with me this important talk, and all of you for your attention.
Thank you. I'm a bit curious in your both stories about, let's say, the problem of the financial model, meaning how could you imagine a reimbursement model? Since we fund a lot of projects, we always have the question to projects, well, what is the cost and what is the quality of life improved? Recently, we rejected the proposal because it would cost 350,000 euros per life year extension. And looking at the NHS in the UK, they will be able to invest 30,000 euros per year life longer. In the Netherlands, it's slightly better. It's about 40,000 euros. Is that the kind of model that helps, or is that not the kind of model that helps for you?
Yes, I think that we can have a mix of this model. As remember, the member states have already paid the cost of R&D. So this cost, it doesn't appear in the cost of the drug product, in the final cost. The final cost should be the real cost of the production sustained by the hospital, plus a certain margin of profit that should be reinvested in ultra-rare disease or other medication. In this way, this could be affordable to develop other ATMP drug products. I think to have a reimbursement by years of 30,000 euro, I think is less viable because the hospital institution can't afford 300 pences per patient and wait for 10 years to have back this money.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the hospital can be reinvested in another technology or in another drug product. I don't know if Maria Pia is agree.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we can also think about spreading a bit the entire amount of a therapy with different percentages, let's say, in some period frames, let's say, in order to allow, as Marina was saying, the hospital to cover completely the clinical costs, at least, and the manufacturing costs, and but in the long term also to protect, to cover the regulatory fees, for instance, and the long-term follow-up expenses for the patient. That for an academia is a very crucial point to be followed up, because the long-term quality of life of patients would be the main point. So with this kind of system, we can also sponsor. We can invest on long-term follow-up studies for our patients, increasing the learning, also the scientific learning on the efficacy of this product.
Another point is the platform, because industrial partners continue to see disease by disease, and for sure this is very high cost. If they can think group of disease with a cut and plug system of vector or base editing or what you want, they could take 10 diseases and so have a production, manage a continued production of ATMP that could be sustainable also for the industrial partner. So I think we have to learn from each other. We have to learn on their capacity of financial resource and CDMO and organization, but probably they have to learn a little bit more from us about a group of diseases that they can treat.
Thank you.